This fall, get ready for a fairy tale as stupefying as any you ever done heard. From director Rob Reiner and writers Joel and Ethan Cohen comes The Princess Bride.
Could this be a trap?
I always think everything could be a trap, which is why I'm still alive.
Like Humperdinck Man, I think it's pretty obvious. She kidnapped herself, man.
Wesley, why won't you hold me?
Gently.
At a time like this, that's all you can think to say. Gently.
I've seen a lot of spinals, dude. And this guy's a fake. A fucking Goldberger. This guy fucking walks. I've never been more certain of anything in my life.
Gently.
You've beaten my giant, which means you're exceptionally strong. So you could have put the poison in your own goblet, trusting on your strength to save you, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you. But you've also bested my Spaniard, which means you must have studied. And in studying, you must have learned that man is mortal. So you would have put the poison as far from yourself as possible, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of me.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
Hey man, there's two beverages here.
You mocked me once, never do it again! I died that day!
I mean, well, that's just like your opinion, man. A Princess Bride. Well, story sure made me laugh to beat the band. Parts, anyways.
Jesus, Grandpa, what did you read me this thing for?
You said it, man. Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
Hello, and welcome to Nostalgia Marcana. I'm your host, Doug Leaf. Each episode of this podcast, we'll look back on the movies, TV, games, people, and phenomena that we still love talking about all these years later, and ask ourselves why these bits of pop culture still enchant us today. This week, we'll be revisiting...
This podcast has everything. Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles. We're talking about The Princess Bride today. One of my all-time favorite movies. In fact, I've said on this podcast before, my favorite movie is Lord of the Rings, but if you were to put a gun to my head and say, hey, that's cheating, it's 3, then my immediate answer would be The Princess Bride. This is an incredibly perfect piece of filmmaking. Yes. Just extraordinary. So I am very glad to be talking about this gem today. And I am not doing it alone. If there was anyone I would want to read me a bedtime story and tuck me in, it is our guest, who you have heard on many past episodes, including Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Ernest Goes to Camp, and more. Please welcome back to the show, Tarik Davis.
As you wish.
As you wish, sir.
Good to be here, buddy.
Man, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we're talking about this, because this came up on our Roger Rabbit episode. We were talking, and I had said, oh, this is somehow we had mentioned Princess Bride, and you said this was like one of your top 5 movies. So
yeah, it's top 10, but like gun to head, could easily slip in the top 5. I agree with you though. It's a perfect movie. It's there were films I was trying to think of, like, what are some perfect movies? And this is top of the heap for me. It's up there. Like, there are just some movies I'm just like, It's the remote drop. It's the I'm constantly looking on YouTube for clips. Me and my dad were just like, reminiscing about going. Like I remember the experience going with my parents and my uncle to see this movie, and then we started watching clips. And you know, uh, I still get emotional at some parts, and I remember coming out of that movie theater. So it came out in '87.
Yeah.
So I'm 7 or 8. So I'm very impressionable. And I remember coming out of this movie and hearing that line that Peter Falk says at the end. And then like we're walking to the car and I'm with my grandfather's there and like when you're 8 years old thinking about what life's about because of a movie, that's a big deal. And I was just like, "Oh, this is what life is about." And like I really identified at that age with Fred Savage. Like, the toys he had in his room, I was like, I have those toys. Like I don't want to hear about girls kissing, but you know, uh, my grandfather who's no longer with me, who's like, I love that man. And I was just like, getting emotional now, just thinking about him. I'm just like, wow, like, um, hearing him tell stories and yeah, kind of seeing that for the first time. Also, like, I think that was the first meta piece of media I had ever really like fully digested. And like, oh, stories, life. What is a good life? What is it to be friendly? And like, what is to have friends? And what is it to be honorable and heroic? And I'm having all these thoughts at 8, like, and was walking on air. Like that movie, in some small way, maybe major, changed my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's a movie about storytelling. For as little time as we spend with Fred Savage and Peter Falk as the framing device, this movie is very meta. It is about how stories get told. And it's, William Goldman, who wrote the book, also wrote the screenplay. And I know he wrote a book on screenwriting.
Yeah.
And which I remember reading in college. And like this is so perfectly constructed in that I've mentioned this before. It is a parody of a fairy tale, but also a straight up fairy tale. It works both ways as the thing and the parody of the thing. And it's so much about that emotional connection we have with stories and the way they're told. And this is why, like, this is our 150th episode of the podcast. I wanted to do something big for a big round number.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of a better candidate than this movie because of what it says about, looking back in a way as this podcast does. Like, I thought about like, oh, I can't wait to share this story with my kids. I want to go from being Fred Savage to Peter Falk now and sharing this. And it's just, as you said, perfect. What I think to define what we mean by a perfect film is that, like, yes, all of the elements are good, but it's one of those things where like you couldn't, if you added anything to the movie or subtracted anything from the movie, it would not be as good. Like this, that's why it's perfect the way it is. Every single moment, every single beat is a perfect little thing. And every scene in this movie, I'll borrow a phrase from our mutual friend Dan Oster, who said this to me about it. Every scene in the movie is the best scene in the movie.
Yeah, that's of course, Dan Oster. He's got a way with words, that guy. Yeah, that's an incredible way to describe Princess Bride. I watched I know we got to get into the meat and potatoes, but like I said, I was watching clips and I watched, you talk about the transition from going to Fred Savage to Peter Falk. And so I watched this old clip, maybe 10, 11 years old, of Mandy Patinkin, talking about his favorite line from the film. And of course, he's like, of course, everyone quotes to him, and he loves the line, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die." And he does it with the accent, and you're taken right back, and you're like, wow, that guy Inigo lives in Mandy Patinkin, but he says his favorite line, now that he's older. He was in his 30s when he made the film, and now at that point he was in his 60s, and he was just like, as an old man, my favorite line is when the man in black asks Inigo if he wants to be the Dread Pirate Roberts, and Inigo says, you know, I've spent all my life, basically I've spent all my life in the revenge business, and now that I've attained it, I don't know what to do with the rest of my life. And Mandy gets really emotional talking about this because he's like, and he goes meta. Because the revenge business is an empty business. Mankind's business is love and empathy. And Inigo's experiencing that now, you know? And I'm like, what and he's like, I didn't have the wisdom then to know what that line meant. And yeah, as we get older, this movie keeps having more layers and levels. And the switching back and forth between reality, the Peter Falk and Fred Savage, and fantasy. And who are we? What are we taking from the fantasy world into this quote unquote reality? And vice versa. I don't know. And I love the movie.
Yeah, all of it is great. A couple more people to spotlight before we get into the actual beat by beat. Obviously, Rob Reiner, who directed it. Just an immensely talented, both a great actor, but a really great director and storyteller. The movie, you mentioned seeing it in the theaters. My nostalgic memories, like most people, were not seeing it in the theater. Didn't make a big splash in 1987, but through the magic of home video and word of mouth,
yeah,
it became what it became. And like, that's my memories of it. It was just seeing it, on a VHS tape and just being floored by it. And like, as soon as it was over, I wanted to watch it again immediately.
Yeah.
It's that kind of a movie. And no matter how many times I've seen it, I still enjoy it. It's beautifully told and also very, very witty and funny, and probably one of the best cast movies in history. Like you could not imagine. I mean, you can go through Wikipedia and see who was considered for these roles, and not one of them would have been better, even though they're all very talented names on the lists. Like, you just go, like, nope, it has to be these people in these roles.
Yeah, everyone brings their A game, and I think a connection that I've thought about this, and some people may arch their eyebrow. I think the reason that everyone is so good is that everybody there has a connection either with theater or live performance. Like Andre the Giant, like Billy Crystal, coming from the live performance space. And Billy Crystal's done theater, of course, as well as Christopher Guest. Chris Sarandon, who I think is the unsung hero of the film. More I watch the film, the more I'm like, man, Prince Humperdinck is perfect. Just incredible villain. And yeah, of course, Carrie Elway's Mandy Patinkin, Robin Wright. Like, they were all like, they knew how, like, there's something about the theater background that if an actor has it, I always take note.
Yeah, I mean, there's, even though the movie doesn't quite feel improvised, except for maybe Billy Crystal's stuff is heavily improvised.
Yeah.
You can still feel that, like, kind of live theater crackling energy in the way the lines are all delivered.
Yes.
Wallace Shawn as well, another veteran of stuff like that.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody brings that A game. The last person I wanted to mention, though, before we got underway, is Mark Knopfler, who does the music. He's, of course, the lead singer and guitarist for Dire Straits, a band I happen to like, especially Brothers in Arms. Brothers in Arms is one of the best albums of the 80s period. But like, he, that guitar work, that simple theme that he has that kind of runs through the whole movie is just so perfectly encapsulates the kind of like the fairy tale feeling here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Shout out to Dire Straits. But yeah, the music is perfect as well.
Yep. All right, well, let's talk about this. Let's get into this movie because I know we got some time to be mindful of. So we start off the movie, as we talked about. Fred Savage is playing hardball for the Commodore 64. I had to go look up what game this was because I did not recognize it. And his grandpa, they're unnamed, just the grandfather and the grandson. Peter Falk comes over to read to him because he's sick and he's going to be spending the day home from school. And we get, Peter Falk is trying to sell him on the merits of this story, as I mentioned, all the, fencing monsters and all that. And Fred Savage is skeptical because, this could be a kissing book.
Guess what?
What?
Your grandfather's here.
Mom, can't you tell me I'm sick?
You're sick. That's why he's here.
He'll pinch my cheek. I hate that.
Maybe he won't.
Hey, how's the sickie? Huh?
I think I'll leave you two pals alone.
I brought you a special present.
What is it?
Open it up.
A book?
That's right. When I was your age, television was called books. And this is a special book. It was the book my father used to read to me when I was sick, and I used to read it to your father. And today, I'm going to read it to you.
Has it got any sports in it?
Are you kidding? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles.
Doesn't sound too bad. I'll try and stay awake.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's very nice of you. Your vote of confidence is overwhelming.
There are not enough movies made about a kid being sick and not going to school. It's such a relatable. Instantly, I remember sitting and being like, "Oh, I've been sick," and yeah, you're just kind of home in your room, And it's such a perfect in.
Yeah, and I love that, like, the fiction that the author of the book is not William Goldman. This is also from I've never read the original book, but I know that this is the book itself is supposedly written by S. Morgenstern. Right.
Yes.
There are, even when you read the actual book, I know there are sections missing because it's as if it's being read to you the same way. It's like, all right, I'll skip that part, So that meta thing is in the original book as well, but obviously even more pronounced here in the movie.
Yeah, there was some. It's. I have also not read the book. I should. It's like one of those things that I definitely should read, considering how much I love the film. But yeah, Goldman was shooting on all cylinders, like just setting the story up, and with the book and screenplay.
Yeah. And we open with, a pretty, simple prologue here of Buttercup and Wesley, who is a farm boy, works on the farm, and he loves her very, very much. She at first is haughty and snooty, but finally comes around when she realizes how devoted he is, as he always says his famous phrase, as you mentioned, "as you wish," to any of her requests, which is his way of saying, "I love you."
Yeah.
Farm boy, polish my horse's saddle. I want to see my face shining in it by morning.
As you wish.
As you wish was all he ever said to her.
Farm boy, fill these with water. Please.
As you wish.
That day, she was amazed to discover that when he was saying, "as you wish," what he meant was, "I love you." And even more amazing was the day she realized she truly loved him back.
Farm boy. Fetch me that picture.
It feels like, the kind of like everything was perfect until it wasn't, right?
Yeah. I love the scene. I love the setup. I love there's so much unsaid. That's just, you have Peter Falk's incredible voiceover. But in this scene, in the fantasy, Robin Wright and Carrie Elways, just incredibly young, talented actors and communicating so much. And you can see from Robin Wright's performance her falling in love with this dirty farm boy. And you can see like kind of this from Carrie Elway's performance of like, yes, he'll put up with, Buttercup, deeply loves her, but there's an undercurrent. He's not, we don't get the backstory from this character. We don't get to know like, how learned is he? That's just what Carrie Elways and his performance brings. That this guy is deeper than appearances. There's an undercurrent for this character.
Yeah, it's all in the eyes too, because there's not a lot of dialogue. As most of the words at this point are coming from Peter Falk narrating, but there's that moment where she says, like, "Farm boy, get me that pail of water." And
Yeah.
he goes, "As you," but the way he like reaches up, like he never breaks eye contact with her. It's very intensely like, "I love you more than anything in the universe," while I'm plucking this pitcher of water from where it's hanging on the ceiling. Like he just stares at her like so intensely in that moment.
Yeah, and that wasn't in the book. That's I'm sure. I mean, that's the brilliance of Reiner and his two actors.
Yeah.
That heightens the story, that brings the story to life.
Yeah, we have to immediately be sold on like this, as the movie will tell us over and over again, this is true love. And they don't have a lot of time to get that across, except in the logic of fairy tales in a way, which is like they just tell you it's true love, but they still have to show it in the performance. And even here, like we get our first break in from Fred Savage going like, "Hey, wait a minute, you told me this was there would be sports. Is this a kissing book?" Right? Like right at the beginning, he's like,
Yeah.
"I don't know about this." But then when they cut back, he's like, after Peter Falk assures him it's getting better, we are told Wesley had to leave to seek his fortune across the sea because he was so poor. And then he never came back because he was murdered by pirates. And we just get Fred Savage. Oh, murdered by pirates
What?
is good.
What kind of book is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
But before we get the murdered by pirates bit, we get Wesley's goodbye to Buttercup.
I fear I'll never see you again.
Of course you will.
But what if something happens to you?
Hear this now. I will always come for you.
But how can you be sure?
This is true love. You think this happens every day?
Which is like, again, that like incredible intensity here, which belies the fact that he will be extremely funny.
Yes.
And kind of like, Errol Flynn in the rest of the movie, but he has that like, "Hear this now, I will always come for you." And she says, "How can you be sure?" And he says, "This is true love. You think this happens every day?" Like the way he delivers that's more romance novel than vaudeville comedy, although we will get both from him.
Yeah, again, can't say enough good things about Carrie Elways. He's a young guy. And that level of maturity, a lot of dashing, beautiful young actors don't have. There's a wisdom, there's a lived-inness that makes the words not seem hollow, seem very true. And it's a beautiful scene. And yeah, Carrie Elways, whether, actor doesn't get nearly enough props from going to, for being that guy. And then like, yeah, I can do this. I can be really funny. Want to see me be funny? I'll hang out with Mel Brooks and do Robin Hood Men in Tights, right? Like,
Or Liar Liar. He's very funny in that as well.
very funny in Liar Liar. I feel like Carrie Elways, in many ways, born in the wrong decade, would have been a smash in the 50s, 40s and 50s, like as the dashing actor with a sense of humor. He's doing fine. He makes a living, but anyway.
Yeah. Also, but he has many gears. Like, right, he's in the first Saw. He's full of surprises. Yeah, great actor. So we go to Florin Square. That is our fictional country where this takes place. Is Florin, and Prince Humperdinck is announcing his engagement to now Princess Buttercup, since she has had no choice but to move on the assumption that Wesley is dead. And we get our first look at Chris Sarandon as this big blowhard. And yeah, Chris Sarandon, best probably known to the audience is he's the voice of Jack Skellington. From Nightmare Before Christmas. The speaking voice.
Yes, I guess that's what the audience would. I thought you were going to say best known is playing Jerry Dandridge in my favorite horror film, Fright Night.
Oh yeah, he's in that as well. He's very good.
Yes, he is my by hands down favorite vampire of all time in cinema history.
Yeah, the voice he affects for Humperdinck too. Like, it's not his natural speaking voice. It's very like this, right? It's amped up, especially when he's obviously speaking to a crowd. But like, he does modulate that a bit too. Like when he's more sinister, he kind of drops that.
Yeah,
This was one of those performances that's like real precise and fine tuned in the way he delivers every word.
Very precise and very like sinister. And you still, for me, still love every minute he's on screen. Like, it's funny. It's, it's the closest in comparison I can think of is like what he does with Prince Humperdinck is similar to what Alan Rickman did with Hans Gruber, right? Like, it's this anybody else, any other actor who, not as competent, it just becomes either mustache twirling or flat. Or just evil, unlikable, but like there's a playfulness. Like he's having a ball playing Humperdinck, and to let the audience in on that ball takes a really an actor of like real aplomb.
Yeah, because he sucks. Like Prince Humperdinck is, he's awful. Like he's not evil in the way he's not like flaying people alive and stuff, right? It's more subtle in how shitty he is. Because even as a kid, I didn't quite pick up on the political intrigue as to what he's doing.
Yeah.
But as we'll see in a minute, his plan is he just wants to go to war with this neighboring country of Gilder. And it's not exactly clear how it is he's come to be engaged with Buttercup. If it's just like, hey, I'm the king, and so I demand you marry me, or Prince. But she is not happy with the situation. She decides I'm going to go off riding a horse because that's kind of all I can do for fun. And she is immediately waylaid by Vizzini, Inigo Montoya, and Fezzik, who pretty quickly after claiming to just be poor circus performers, Fezzik just grabs her and the giant, Andre the Giant, and they kidnap her and they're off. And Vizzini explains he's putting this piece of Gilderian fabric on the horse, which will be found, and the point will be that when her body is discovered, the Florians will blame the Gilderians, and that will be an excuse for them to go to war.
What's that you're ripping? It's fabric from the uniform of an army officer of Gilder.
Who is Gilder?
The country across the sea, the sworn enemy of Florin. Go! Once the horse reaches the castle, the fabric will make the prince suspect the Gilderians have abducted his love. When he finds her body dead on the Gilder frontier, his suspicions will be totally confirmed.
You never say anything about killing anyone.
I've hired you to help me start a war. It's a prestigious line of work with a long and glorious tradition.
I just don't think it's right, killing an innocent girl.
Am I going mad? Or did the word think escape your lips? You were not hired for your brains, you hippopotamic landmass!
I agree with Fezzik.
Oh, the sot has spoken! What happens to her is not truly your concern. I will kill her. And remember this. Never forget this! When I found you, you were so slobbering drunk you couldn't buy brandy! And you! Friendless, brainless, helpless, hopeless! Do you want me to send you back to where you were? Unemployed in Greenland?
Yeah, I can only remember watching this and being like, as a kid being like, so Wesley was dead. He's not going to be the hero. Like, I was completely just on the edge of my seat. Like, well, what is going to happen? And, I wish I could watch it again with those eyes. Being so naive, just like, and like, this is the 80s. So Andre the Giant, you knew who he was because WWF at that point was huge. And Andre the Giant was the heavy. He was the heel. So I'm like, oh God. Well, nobody's gonna be Andre the Giant. Like at this point, everybody thought, the Golden Boy, the face, was Hulk Hogan. And I'm like, well, he's not in this movie, and none of these guys seem to be physically able, like, of the size to be able to deal with him. So I was completely like, what is going to happen? Oh my God. Like, all is lost.
Yeah, and I love these three guys. Like, first of all, Wallace Shawn as Vizzini. I know at one point there was a thought it might end up being Danny DeVito, but fortunately Wallace Shawn was cast. And again, another familiar voice you would know from Toy Story. He's the T-Rex in Toy Story, among many other wonderful films he's made. Clueless.
Dinner with Andre. My Dinner with Andre. Yeah, Wally Shawn. He's a Lower East Side theater guy. Did a lot of stuff at PS 122 and like, that irreverence in casting is also like whoever the casting director for this film, brilliant choices. I think Danny DeVito would have been great, but there's something about Wally Shaw that's like perfect for this.
The lines they give him to say, like just the kinds of words they put in his mouth, about the what they ask, Inigo and Fezzik ask like, what's going on, and he's just like, oh, we're starting a war. It's a long and glorious tradition. The way he says all these things. And what I love about this introduction is they immediately tell us that Inigo and Fezzik are cut from a different cloth as Vizzini. Like they work for him, but they're not like Rocksteady and Bebop, right? They're like kindly. And so it's like, what are they doing working with this guy?
Yeah. And you see, I mean, once they kidnap Princess Buttercup and like, and you immediately don't like Wally Shawn. And I also, before I even like the magic of Carl Reiner directing this is you can see like Carl Reiner knows comedy. His father, like, and Mel Brooks instilled in him like the best training anyone on the planet could possibly get in terms of like comedic timing, and that is so deeply into this film. So having someone like Wally Shaw come in, like he plays those notes, and then you are contrasted by that with, oh well, here we go with Inigo and Fezzik having a rhyming game. Anybody want the peanut? It's so sweet.
Yeah, and that's an important investment because eventually these characters will be allies, and so we know they have to turn and we'll talk about this in a minute when we get to the confrontations between the Man in Black and them. But that's very important that we really like them, even though they've just kidnapped our heroine.
Yeah. Not to be old man shaking fists at clouds, but so many films nowadays could learn a lesson about how do you get people to like the characters.
Character introductions, man. I've harped on this many times on this podcast. Like, you have to nail this. Whatever first scene they appear in, like, you have to get the audience on board with like who they are, what their deal is, and kind of the main things you need to know about them, and like have that locked in that one scene going forward. Yeah. Otherwise, you spend the rest of the movie kind of hoping the audience will catch up, and odds are they won't, or they won't care by then. You have to make them care now, right now.
Yeah, I know modern tradition, and like it's part of the evolution, and we should go there. And like characters can be more complicated and not likable. And sure, I think especially in these times we're living in, I think it wouldn't hurt to make people actually likable, and like. We'll get to that. I want to say more about that when we get to the confrontation.
Yeah, but as you said, like we can like the villains too. Like I like Vizzini as a character. I like Humperdinck. They're interesting and cool. But I know exactly who all of these people are from the first time we meet them, And so it makes me as an audience member really excited to see what happens when they're on stage, as opposed to like, it's that guy. They said his name once and I forgot it, you know?
Yeah.
So we're out on the open ocean, and Buttercup is kind of mouthing off, you know, to Vizzini, and he's kind of like, yeah, of all the necks on this ship, Your Highness, I think yours is the one you should be worried about.
Right.
You know, so you should be worried. But also they're worried because, as Inigo notices, someone is following them, and they're not sure how that could possibly be. Buttercup decides to make a go for it and jump out of the boat, only to be confronted with the shrieking eels.
You're sure nobody's follow us?
As I told you, it would be absolutely, totally, and in all other ways inconceivable. No one in Gilder knows what we've done, and no one in Florin could have gotten here so fast. Out of curiosity, why do you ask?
No reason. Suddenly, I just happened to look behind us and something is there.
What? Probably some local fisherman out for a pleasure cruise at night through eel-infested waters. What? Go in! Get after her!
I don't swim.
I only dog paddle.
Ah! Veer left! 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 Do you know what that sound is, Highness? Those are the shrieking eels. If you don't believe me, just wait. They always grow louder when they're about to feed on human flesh. If you swim back now, I promise no harm will come to you. I doubt you'll get such an offer from the eel.
Yeah, that I jumped out of my seat in the movie theater when the eel, because the music and the soundtrack does a great job. You know, again, Mark Knopfler does a great job of building that tension, like that high-pitched, eerie violin, and you see like the lamp of the ship in the distance, and you're like, "Ooh, what is that?" And Wally Shawn, like, the eels, like he really just like sells the, you know, it's funny, but it's also, when you're a kid, it's like the Large Marge moment. It's like, no, I'm legit terrified.
Yeah, this is one of those classic 80s traumatizing moments, you know,
Yes.
that we used to get, and I think we still need. There's a better one coming later, but like the shrieking eels are great. This is an upgrade from the book, by the way. They're just sharks in the book. So this is a nice addition to make them kind of a fantasy monster. And we get a break-in from grandpa and grandson here. I love that he'll actually like spoil things in a meta way. She doesn't get eaten by the eels at this time, you know, like, oh wow. He doesn't even say like, hey, you look worried. He'll just straight up tell you, yeah, she's fine.
She doesn't eat. Yeah. Oh God, Peter Falk.
Yeah. And then they do another meta thing, which is so cool after the break-in, because he goes, all right, so those are the shrieking, and he's like, no, Grandpa, you read that already. Oh, right. And like, as he says the line that Vizzini says, you've got Wallace Shawn's face lip synced with Peter Falk's audio. Yeah. Like, it's a really cool, like, moment of like, right, this story is being read. Oh, and we've rewound too far.
Yeah. It's, again, everybody's firing on all chambers. It's brilliant.
I just love that. Yeah, again, it never lets you forget that this is a story that is being told, right? As opposed to something that the reality of the movie that's happening.
Right.
And it's got a little of that duck amuck thing where like we could be playing with you a little bit as the author.
Yeah. There's a little bit of, wait, is Granddad an unreliable narrator here? Like, what's going on? So you're on edge watching this for the first time.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, Buttercup is yanked out of the water by Fezzik, who like blonks the eels on the head. And, you know, I love this line. She's spunky. Like she's a little bit of a damsel in this movie, but she's also tough. because she says like, "Oh, you think you're brave," and she says, "Only compared to some." You know,
Yes.
So such a great comeback to Vizzini.
And Robin Wright's playing it straight, and which is great. Like she's pissed. You know, this whole film, like, you know, these larger circumstances kind of control this woman's life, and Robin Wright plays it as such. Like, you know, the rebelliousness of that character. I remember being like, "Oh, this is different."
Yeah, she bristles against being controlled, right? We saw that in the first scene with Wesley, is that she likes ordering him around, right? She's used to kind of calling the shots here, and she doesn't get to in a lot of this movie, and you can see how she's kind of like, you know, kind of pushing back against that.
Right.
So it's the next morning, and the ship is still gaining on them, but they've reached the cliffs of insanity, and the plan is for Andre the Giant to carry all three of the others on his back and climb up this rope, up this ridiculous matte painting. Well, it's mostly a matte painting, I should say. Some of the shots of it are, in fact, the Cliffs of Moher in Ireland, where I have been there. And it is just as gorgeous as it looks in the film. Like, it is one of the most spectacular places you can see on the planet Earth.
I bet. Yeah, I love that scene. I love the weird fantasy logic of Fezzik putting on this belt that has these 3 human-sized straps, and like Wally Shawn is like right in his face, and like as he climbs this rope, because he's of course a giant and he's super strong, climbing up, you know, this impossible kind of cliff. It was so comic bookish and so like, the 8-year-old in me loved it.
He's climbing the rope. And he's gaining on us.
Inconceivable. Faster!
I thought I was going faster.
You were supposed to be this colossus. You were this great legendary thing, and yet he gains.
Well, I'm carrying 3 people, and he got on himself.
I do not accept excuses. I'm just going to have to find myself a new giant, that's all.
Don't say that, Vincini, please.
Did I make it clear that your job is at stake?
Yeah, I mean, again, having been there to the Cliffs of Moher, like, I realize the Cliffs of Insanity are probably supposed to be even taller than these are, but like, it's a long way down. It's
a long way down.
And the lines they give Wallace Shawn to like shout into Andre the Giant's face as he's doing this, you know, it's like, you know, did I make it clear that your job is at stake? And he's like trying to do this, and poor Fezzik's like, well, he's only got himself, but I'm carrying 3 people. Like, it's there's a bunch of very funny lines, which is good because otherwise it's just this shot of him climbing. So to like break it up, like all the vaudeville stuff from Vizzini here is very good.
It's very good. Whoever the stuntman was that they got to climb the rope as the Man in Black, you know, give that guy a raise. Like, was really doing a great job. Like Spider-Man climbing that rope. It building tension, but using comedy. It's really just juggling chain ball, bowling pin, you know, bowling ball, and like keeping them all up in the air seemingly effortlessly.
Yeah. And you said the tension, which is, of course, the tension is, well, they're going to get to the top first, and then they're going to cut the rope, and then he'll fall, which is exactly, you know, like they anticipate the audience going, isn't that the danger? And so, they get up there, they cut the rope. We see the rope just, you know, right over, and then Vizzini delivering one of the most memorable, and Inigo together, this moment of, you know, he didn't fall.
You got very good arms.
He didn't fall? Inconceivable.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means. My God, he's climbing.
Whoever he is, he's obviously seen us with the princess and must therefore die. You carry her. We'll head straight for the Gilder frontier. Catch up when he's dead. If he falls, fine. If not, the sword.
I'm going to duel him left-handed.
You know what a hurry we're in.
It's the only way I can be satisfied. If I use my right, over too quickly.
Oh, have it your way.
you be careful. People in masks cannot be trusted.
I'm waiting!
Inconceivable. And to the rejoinder of, you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Although I think that is what it means in that moment. He's used it correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very funny. And then we get what's going to happen is Vizzini says, we'll take Buttercup and go. You stay behind. And when he gets up, kill him. And Inigo says, well, I want to use my left hand because if I use my right hand, it's over too quickly.
Yeah. So earlier when I said I got emotional watching clips, this clip, Vizzini and Fezzik and Buttercup leave, and we see the great Mandy Patinkin in great form, right? Like warming up, anticipating, anxious, excited for this duel. And it's the first time we see, the Man in Black's face. As a kid, I did not know it was Carrie Elways. Spoiler alert. And the conversation that these two have, it's light, there's the undercurrent of danger and death of like, well, I have to kill you. And like, but they're being so friendly to each other.
Yeah, this is amazing. So there's kind of two scenes here. First is the scene where Cary Elwes is the Man in Black. Again, he's literally dressed like Zorro, is hanging off of the cliff. And there's this very funny, like, I can throw you the rope. Like, as they, they have this back and forth. And finally, he does. He throws him the rope. He brings him up. And then we have more kind of heart to heart as Inigo gives the monologue about his backstory and his desire for revenge against the mysterious six-fingered man.
I do not mean to pry, but you don't by any chance happen to have 6 fingers on your right hand?
Do you always begin conversations this way?
My father was slaughtered by a 6-fingered man. Was a great sword maker, my father. When the 6-fingered man appeared and requested a special sword, my father took the job. He slept a year before he was done.
I've never seen a sequel.
6-fingered man returned and demanded it, but at 1/10 his promised price. My father refused. Without a word, the 6-fingered man slashed him through the heart. I love my father, so naturally I challenged his murderer to a duel. I failed. 6-fingered man lived me alive, but he gave me this.
How old were you?
I was 11 years old. When I was strong enough, I dedicated my life to the study of fencing. So the next time we meet, I will not fail. I will go up to the 6-fingered man and say, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yeah. And but like that moment when he throws in the rope, I give you my word and my father. It's so genuine.
Well, that's what seals the deal, right? Is it because Cary Elwes is saying all this stuff about like, why should I trust you?
Right.
And it's when he says, I swear on the soul of my father, Domingo Montoya, he immediately says, throw me the rope. Like he buys it. Like he must mean it, and I can trust this statement.
Yeah, and then they have this kind of reprieve, respite before the battle, and Mandy Patinkin launches into this beautiful that gets me every fucking. Pardon my friend's time. Like when he talks about, I love my father, and he breaks a little, I start to break. I'm just like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, outside of Wesley and Buttercup, he has the biggest arc, right? They give him, they set a simple revenge story. This guy killed my father. I want to kill him. right?
Yeah.
But they do it in a way that is just so meaningful. And again, with that score from Mark Knopfler behind him, as he tells a simple story of, his father was a sword maker, and he made the sword, made him, the man, six-fingered man came in and stiffed him, basically. He said, I'll pay you 1/10 what it's worth. And he said no. And so he just stabbed him right through the heart. And then he gave Inigo these 2 scars on his cheeks.
And Inigo tells us what, spent all this life training to find this man, and and he said, I will not fail.
And when I see him, I will say,
hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yeah, in a film full of incredible scenes, this is one of the best because it's doing so much heavy lifting, right?
Yeah.
It's entertaining on its own merits, but you're getting the backstory for Inigo, and you're doing all this investment in but I like Inigo. I don't want him to die. I don't want him to kill Wesley, but we're about to have a battle to the death. And like we said, we're going to need eventually us to want to like Inigo later. And that's such a delicate balancing act to pull off in this scene.
It's so delicate, and to our earlier point of you talking about introductions, I think a lot of films nowadays would get so much grace if you insert grace. These characters have grace for each other. They have completely different goals, and I have to kill you, I don't want to, and they're both very clear on that, but they're also both very hey, I like you too. Man, if only, right?
Right.
There could be so much more of that. I think arguments are very easy to write. Camaraderie, respect, that's a little bit more difficult. And these two, and yeah, it's just a beautiful scene.
Yep.
Which leads to my favorite fight scene ever.
I was going to say, this might be the best, certainly the best sword fight, maybe the best fight scene in the history of cinema to this day.
There's a friend of mine who actually competitively sword fights. And so, there's a friend, his wife is really good friends with, my partner. And so, when she introduced me to him, that was one of the first things I learned about this guy. And he's a big Viking-looking dude, and sword fights with a broadsword and does that stuff. And and I'm like, well, my experience with sword fighting outside of stage combat is I fell in love with it because of Princess Bride. And he's like, oh, but it's so Hollywood and theatrical, and he showed me all these clips of what he thought, and they were incredible. And a lot of samurai, but not a lot of samurai, but also some Turkish stuff, and real sword fights, they're over like that, right? And that's how you really sword fight. And I'm like, I'm not arguing that this is the best sword fight because it's realistic. It's a dance. It's this movie, which almost feels like a musical. In a musical, characters sing because their emotions, have run so high. The only way to express them now is through song. And you can learn who each character is, what they were about, also in the way they sing, how they sing. Same thing for me with a fight scene. And this fight scene is such great theater.
I mean, it is extraordinary. I've done a little stage combat, not a lot, but the level of intricacy here, and I saw talked about when Mandy Patinkin and Carrie Ellis were had downtime, they were practicing this all the time to get it to look the way it does. I know it was choreographed by veterans of Star Wars, so
yeah,
people who know what a sword fight ought to look like. And there's great lightsaber fights, but this is on another level. And what's so great about it is the rhythm to it. There's still some snappy dialogue, and of course the best part is that the build of, we know that Inigo is using his left hand just for playfulness, right? Cat playing with their prey.
Yeah.
And then, what I love is the bit where he says, there's something I know that you do not know. I am not left-handed.
You're using Bonetti's defense against me, huh?
I thought it fitting, considering the rocky terrain.
Naturally. You must expect me to attack with Capoferro.
Naturally. But I find that Tybalt cancels out Capoferro. Don't you?
Unless the enemy has a study, he's a gripper. Which I have. are wonderful.
Thank you. I've worked hard to become so.
I admit it, you are better than I am.
Then why are you smiling?
Because I know something you don't know.
And what is that?
I am not left-handed.
You're amazing.
I ought to be after 20 years.
Oh, there's something I ought to tell you.
Tell me.
I'm not left-handed either.
He switches, and the great part is that then Wesley does it, and he says, "I'm not left-handed either," and he didn't. You might not have even noticed he was using his left hand,
right?
And all of a sudden, it's like, what a great way to like one up everything, until eventually he corners Inigo and he submits, and Wesley says, "Yeah, I can't kill you. I'd sooner." It'd be like destroying a beautiful piece of stained glass or whatever. Like, I can't do it, but I can't have you following me either. So knock him out. And the end to one of the best sword fights in history. But we didn't mention, by the way, the sword itself, Inigo's sword. If you had to pick if it was like, oh, you can have a sword prop from any sword in film history, probably this one with a bullet. There's some other great swords in film history, but this one is it's like, because the reputation is right. His father, the great sword maker, made the greatest sword ever. It looks it.
If I was that kind of, as Doug was mentioning, like I have like an old laser disc, cover of Raiders behind me, and like I like movie stuff hanging up on my walls. If I was really obnoxious about it, movie swords would be definitely a thing that would be hanging on my walls, and Inigo's would be up there, along with Zorro's sword, and probably
I'll take a Narsil from Lord of the Rings. I'll take that.
Narsil,
that's a good one.
Blade.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, watching from a distance, Vizzini notices that the Man in Black is still coming after him. Inconceivably, he is still pursuing him. So he tells Fezzik to finish him your way. And he goes, "What's my way?" When his head is in view, hit it with the rock. It's so good. And I love that. Like he's so sweet. He's like the biggest heart to go with his gigantic body. Right? He's like, my way's not very sportsmanlike. He's so good.
Yeah.
And we get the confrontation between the Man in Black and Fezzik now.
So what happens now?
We face each other as God intended. Sportsmanlike. No tricks, no weapons. Skill against skill alone.
You mean you'll put down your rock and I'll put down my sword and we'll try and kill each other like civilized people?
I can kill you now.
Frankly, I think the odds are slightly in your favor at hand fighting.
It's not my fault being the biggest and the strongest. I don't even exercise.
Look, are you just fiddling around with me or what?
I just want you to feel you're doing well. I hate for people to die in bad. You're quick.
A good thing, too.
Why you wearing a mask? Were you burned by acid or something like that?
Oh, no, it's just they're terribly comfortable. I think everyone will be wearing them in the future.
I just figured when you give me so much trouble.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, I haven't fought just one person for so long. Been specializing in groups, battling gangs for local charities, that kind of thing.
Why should that make such a difference?
Right. And we, I remember thinking when he smashes against the bigger, larger rock, and you see the Man in Black actually go like, "Oh shit," and Fezzik is already reloaded with a massive basketball-sized rock that he's palming. "I could crush you with this one, but it wouldn't be sportsmanlike." And yeah, you fall in love with Fezzik. You fall in love with like, I missed on purpose. I don't actually want to kill you either. And we get another lovely scene of just like, yeah, these guys respect each other. Like instantly, it's like, when you're a kid and you meet another kid you don't know on the playground, and that mutual respect of, hey, we're just kids, want to play. Like that is injected into this. And it's got an undercurrent of like, yeah, everybody's kind of the best kid versions of themselves.
Right. It's the same beat they do with Inigo. It's the same trick, which is like you want to like Fezzik. You don't want him to die. You don't want him to kill Man in Black, right?
Right.
And it's like the pitch of, oh, you mean you'll put down your rock and I'll put down my sword and we'll try to kill each other like civilized people. Like that's a great line.
Yeah.
And again, like relies on Cary Elwes's charm to deliver it so well. And so we get this sort of wrestling match where, again, Man in Black is in theory outmatched, but he manages to just sort of get on top of and behind Fezzik to choke him out, and he passes out.
Yeah. They have a great dialogue in between the fight too. You're quick.
Yeah.
Why do you wear a mask? Are you scarred? Like
you burned with acid?
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very good. And like, interestingly, like he's not on Andre the Giant's back in real life. His back was kind of messed up by this point, partly from his career of wrestling and also from his medical condition that made him so big. So Cary Elwes is actually standing on like ramps and then holding onto his neck, but he's not actually like hanging off of him with his weight. They had to be very careful on how they filmed that because as big as he is, he was not in great physical shape at the time he made this. In fact, he almost didn't get to make it. He was supposed to be in a wrestling match in Japan and it got canceled. Which was good because they said their backup choice was actually Arnold Schwarzenegger, who would have been interesting, but not quite as big, obviously, as Andre the Giant, and also very, very expensive. Because by 1987, Schwarzenegger was having himself a good old career. So it worked out for the best.
It certainly did. I thought you said the backup was going to be Wilt Chamberlain, who was also, in that Conan the Conqueror, right? Like.
There was some other basketball players in contention. I forget who, off the top of my head. I want to say, I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was thought of for this, who could work. I mean, obviously he's an airplane. He's a funny guy, but there's something about Andre the Giant's presence here that's just very special.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he tells him to rest well and dream of large women, which is a great line. And now we find out that Humperdinck and his associate, Count Tyrone Rugen, his first name is said once in the movie. His name is Tyrone, which is odd. But anyway, Count Rugen, they are at the site of the duel, and he is retracing the steps, and they're figuring out which way the combatants went. So we're told Inigo, I guess, left at some point on foot, ran one way, Man in Black went the other. And we're still getting more of this dialogue from them about like, those blasted Gildarians, they'll pay for this. Like it's all still, we don't know that Humperdinck is behind this yet, but his like fervor for this war that he wants with Gilder is at the forefront.
Yeah. What's his line? It could be a trap.
I think everything could be a trap, which is why I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Which is interesting given the way the movie ends. Put a pin in that, right?
Right.
Tight screenwriting.
Yeah.
And so now, the Battle of Wits has begun.
All right. Where is the poison? The Battle of Wits has begun. It ends when you decide and we both drink and find out who is right and who is dead.
But it's so simple. All I have to do is divine from what I know of you. Are you the sort of man who would put the poison into his own goblet or his enemy's? Now, a clever man would put the poison into his own goblet, because he would know that only a great fool would reach for what he was given. I'm not a great fool, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you. But you must have known I was not a great fool. You would have counted on it, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of me.
You've made your decision then?
Not remotely, because iocane comes from Australia, as everyone knows. And Australia is entirely peopled with criminals. And criminals are used to having people not trust them, as you are not trusted by me, so I can clearly not choose the wine in front of you.
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
Wait till I get going! Where was I?
Holy shit, this scene. So to set the stage, Man in Black comes riding up. And Vizzini has a little picnic in front of him. and Buttercup is blindfolded, and a battle of wits is proposed by Wesley. And he has a little vial of iocane powder, this odorless, tasteless stuff. And he says, I'll put it in one of these cups and you decide which cup to drink. And we learn who is correct and who is dead.
Wally Shawn gives an Oscar-worthy performance. Just bullshitting.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because at first I was like, some of the stuff he says, because in theory he's supposed to be like the world's smartest man, right? Some of the things he says are so stupid that he's like, in your studies you must have learned man is mortal, so you can't choose the wine in front of you. And you're like, that's not, you mean he had to go to school to learn he's mortal? Like, what are you talking about? And the more I thought about it, is like, he's just stalling for time.
Yeah.
Like, it's all bullshit.
The Man in Black, Carrie Elwes, does a great performance of just kind of sitting back. And again, you're wearing a mask, so he only really has use of those eyes, right? And so he's just looking through this BS and says, you're stalling. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I am stalling. What's that?
Right. And this is even more useless, right? Because he turns, and Wesley, of course, takes the bait, is just playing along. Right. And he looks back, and when he turns his back, Wally Shawn switches the cups. Why? He could have just chosen the one in front of Wesley anyway. He can pick either one. Switching them does nothing. It's all dumb bullshit, which is just great on top of all of the like crazy monologue he's just given up to that point.
Right. And and doesn't have what was it? What did you see? Oh, nothing. Shall we toast? Like he has nothing.
I'll tell you in a minute. Yeah.
And they drink from the goblets, and just I used to go, what was the line?
You committed one of the classic blunders?
Yeah. The classic blunders.
You guessed wrong.
You only think I guessed wrong. That's what's so funny. I switched glasses when your back was turned. Ha ha, you fool. You fell victim to one of the classic blunders. The most famous is never get involved in a land war in Asia, but only slightly less well known is this: never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
Who are you?
I'm no one to be trifled with. That is all you ever need know.
To think, all that time it was your cup that was poisoned.
They were both poisoned. I spent the last few years building up an immunity to iocane powder.
Never deal with a Sicilian when life is on the line.
And then just falls dead. And, Buttercup asks the question that we all want to know. Which cup was poisoned? They both were. I've built an immunity to iocane powder.
Yeah, brilliant. I when I watched this for the first time with my kids, I paused it and I was like, okay, which one do you think is poisoned before we got to the solution? And my daughter was like, both of them maybe? Like she sussed it out. And I was like, yes, good girl, Celeste. Good job. No, I don't think she hit on other. Yeah, smart kid. By the way, I told her I was doing this podcast today, and she's like, "Who are you doing it with?" I said, "Oh, Tarik." And she goes, "What's his last name?" And I said, "Davis." And she goes, "Oh, I thought his name would be like Tarik Business." And I'm like, "That's a really yeah, Tarik Business is a cool alter ego."
Yeah, I love that. I thought his name would be Tarik Business. Okay, I love it.
Yep.
Kids have the best imaginations, and that like where their brains go and like the logic of kid brain.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
I will be Tarik Business from now on. Tell her thank you for the name.
You're very welcome. So we get another shot of Humperdinck. Now he's sees that someone has beaten a giant, and again says there will be great suffering in Gilder if she dies. And we get this scene now of, Buttercup and Wesley have some time to themselves, but he's still keeping this costume on as the Man in Black. And he is pissed at her, for not being faithful to her supposed true love in his absence. Not revealing who he really is. And they have this great fight.
It really is.
And not in the book, apparently, this moment where they have their kind of fight and reconciliation. But I think it's really great, because we understand, we never really understand what happened in the gap between when Wesley left and when she was engaged, and this kind of fills in a little of that.
Yeah, and you see some authentic, genuine anger from Wesley's part, who, hasn't revealed who he is, but he's also wink, wink, nudge, nudge, kind of testing to see where you stand. Did you love me? Do you love me as much as I do? And he's doing that, but there's that undercurrent of yeah, but I left to make money for you, and life happened. So and now I've rescued you, and did I rescue you for nothing? Do you really love me? And as far as Princess Buttercup is concerned, she's like, I have no idea who you are. What are you doing intruding on the most personal thing in my life? So they're both this righteous anger from both of them. It builds for a beautiful scene for then when that reveal happens.
Yeah. And they break it up. There's a moment here. We cut back to Humperdinck at the site of the Battle of Wits, and he's smelling the vial. And he goes, iocane. I bet my life on it. It has no smell, which is a great little subtle thing.
Yeah.
And he says something about if she dies, he will be very put out.
I will be very put out. It's very funny.
But we go back to them, Wesley and Buttercup, and she susses out that he is the Dread Pirate Roberts, this figure we've sort of heard about, again, in the margins of the film. And, he tells this story about how, I remember this guy, Wesley of yours. He pleaded, I need to live, and was the pleas that caught me, right? And so he asked what was so important. He said true love. And she, basically says, I died that day when I found out that Wesley died. She makes it very clear exactly where she stands.
I remember this farm boy of yours, I think. This would be what, 5 years ago? Does it bother you to hear?
Nothing you can say will upset me.
He died well. That should please you. No bribe attempts or blubbering. He simply said, please. Please, I need to live. It was the please that caught my memory. I asked him what was so important for him here. True love, he replied. And then he spoke of a girl of surpassing beauty and faithfulness. I can only assume he meant you. You should bless me for destroying him before he found out what you really are.
And what am I?
Faithfulness he talked of, madam. Your enduring faithfulness. Now tell me truly, when you found out he was gone, did you get engaged to your prince that same hour, or did you wait a whole week out of respect for the dead?
You mocked me once, never do it again! I died that day! You can die too, for all I care!
Oh! As you wish!
Oh, my sweet Wesley, what have I done? Ow! Oh!
And she goes, you can die too, for all I care. And she shoves him, and he goes rolling down the hill going, as you wish.
As you wish. Yes. Mask comes off. And we revealed that it's now with mustache, very Douglas Fairbanks Jr. Carrie Elways is Wesley, her true love, is alive.
And she just goes rolling after him, which is a great moment. As a kid too, what's more fun as a kid than rolling down a grassy hill? This was I wanted to do this so bad.
Same. I wanted that endless hill. God, I used to do that so much as a kid, going to a park, finding a hill, and just rolling down it.
Yep.
But yeah, and you have this beautiful reunion that leads right into another traumatic childhood moment.
Almost. We get another break-in. You remember this is the grandpa
yeah.
comes. They're kissing again. You know.
Oh right.
Do,
Yes.
do we have to hear the kissing part? All right, I'll skip to the fire swamp. Right, we're gonna cut ahead from their reunion now to them going into the fire swamp. And I love their line. He's like, she says, "We'll never survive." You're only saying that because no one has. You know, again, like we had never seen them have any kind of like comedic repartee before. But now that the mask is dropped, like, oh, this is who they are. Like, he is funny. Like, he was funny before. We just didn't see that part.
Right.
And then now, as you said, we go through the trials of the swamp, the fire spurts, the lightning sand that he has to rescue her from. They call it. It's quicksand. And, of course, the rodents of unusual size.
Yeah. It was a really funny moment. I remember, like, my parents and my grandfather laughing when he's like, I actually like it. It's quite beautiful here. You could, like, you know. It's really nice. And like one of the few moments of comedy Robin Wright has when she kind of just looks at him like, what? Like, are you insane?
Yeah. She gets a few moments of comedic stuff. Not a lot, but she makes the most of them.
Yeah. And then, the fire swamp, well, there's a sound, there's a cue. So like, we can stay out of that, right? And then she falls into the quicksand. And if you were a kid of the 80s, you thought quicksand was going to be a much bigger deal in your adult life than it turned out to be.
Absolutely.
Quicksand is not nearly as big as a problem as I thought it was going to be.
No.
And I hope that doesn't change. And then the real bravery of cutting and like just how he dives after her. I remember thinking that was like badass as a kid. It was like, that's the coolest thing. He just dove into the sand. What's he searching for? Like, you can't see anything, right? Like,
yep.
Pulls her out, saves her life, and then for 8-year-old Tarik is attacked by a terrifyingly large rat.
My daughter was terrified of this thing. When it was like, and I said like, because we watched it before, and then I was like, hey, I'm gonna watch Princess Bride again. She's like, I don't want to watch it. I'm like, oh, it's because of the rat thing, right? We can skip past the rat thing. I can, but she found that genuinely scary. That's on the other hand, my son thought that's his favorite part of the movie. He likes scary things. So
yeah.
It's funny they're just different.
It's a great, it's a brutal, like it bites him. There's blood. He burns the thing, like, because he hears the that sound cue from the fire swamp.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember being like terrified by the thing, and then feeling instantly and knowing like, oh, I love, I don't like animals being harmed, like on screen or in real life. Like, I still remember the sound it makes when he stabs it, like that weird kind of, and he's so exhausted.
Then his shoulder's all messed up from the bite too.
Completely messed up. Shirt is ripped and bloody, and you're like, man, like they've gone through it. And just when you think they have made it in a clear,
Humperdinck's there.
Humperdinck.
There's one thing I wanted to mention within the body of the fire swamp scene. We get the download from Carrie Elwes on what really happened, which is that the Dread Pirate Roberts is like an office. Like people basically take on that role. Like the real Dread Pirate Roberts has been retired for a long time. Then people just take on the mantle, which is what he has been doing, is pretending to be the Dread Pirate.
This will all soon be but a happy memory. Robert's ship Revenge is anchored at the far end. And I, as you know, am Robert's.
But how's that possible, since he's been marauding 20 years and you only left me 5 years ago?
I myself am often surprised at life's little quirks. See, what I told you before about saying please was true. It intrigued Roberts, as did my descriptions of your beauty. Finally, Roberts decided something. He said, all right, Wesley, never had a valet, contrived it tonight. I'll most likely kill you in the morning. 3 years, he said that. Good night, Wesley. Good work. Sleep well. I'll most likely kill you in the morning. It was a fine time for me. I was learning to fence, fight, anything anyone would teach me. And Roberts and I eventually became friends. And then it happened.
What? Go on.
Well, Roberts had grown so rich, he wanted to retire. So he took me to his cabin, told me his secret. I am not the Dread Pirate Roberts, he said. My name is Ryan. I inherited the ship from the previous Dread Pirate Roberts, just as you will inherit it from me. The man I inherited it from was not the real Dread Pirate Roberts either. His name was Cummerbund. The real Roberts has been retired 15 years and living like a king in Patagonia. Thank you. Then he explained that the name was the important thing for inspiring the necessary fear. You see, no one would surrender to the Dread Pirate Wesley. So we sailed ashore, took on an entirely new crew, and he stayed aboard for a while as first mate, all the time calling me Roberts. And once the crew believed, he left the ship, and I have been Roberts ever since. Except now that we're together, I shall retire and hand the name over to someone else. Is everything clear to you?
Such a great device.
Yeah, because we'll see it again later. People can pretend to be. No one knows what the Dread Pirate Robert looks like, so that can be used to advantage. But Humperdinck's there, and basically he's going to kill Wesley, but Buttercup pleads for his life, and says, if you let him live, I'll go with you willingly, which she does. And after they've ridden out of sight, Wesley shares a moment with Count Rugen, notices he's got 6 fingers on one hand, but also says, like, we are men of action. Like, we know, like, you and I both know that was bullshit.
Right.
And so they knock him out. And he wakes up in the pit of despair with this albino character kind of tending to his wounds.
Yeah, I forget that albino was a famous British comedian in the past. Forget his name.
Yeah, I didn't write it down, unfortunately. But he's great. Yeah, I love, he does the classic, like, he's got this, like, Gollum voice at first, but it's just, sorry, excuse me. Yes, the pit of despair.
It's a very funny bit.
Yeah. And I love that Wes is like, I can take torture. And he just gives this, like, shake of his head of, like, no, not this torture.
Sure.
No.
I always, that contraption, I was always like, what is it doing? We know it drains the life, and he's got these suction cups, like, all in his body. And there's, like, a big kind of, like, forget what you call it, but, like, turns the...
Just gears, giant gears, like water-powered gears.
Yeah. But the amount of pain, and Rudin is just, Rugen, played wonderfully by Christopher Guest, who, like, when I was younger, that took a few watches for me to be like, that's Christopher Guest from Spinal Tap. And, there's always the trope of, like, American actors can't do British accents. Well, I don't think that is true when regarding Christopher Guest. Like,
no, he's amazing in this, and he does get a few moments to be kind of funny. Like, you forget, like, he's one of the funniest people on earth, but, like, he's mostly playing it pretty scary throughout this.
Very.
But we're not going to get to the torture just yet. Wesley is being, like, healed so that he can be in good shape for his upcoming torture. But we get this interesting series of scenes where, like, Buttercup is, like, moping and back in the castle, and Humperdinck says to Rugen, like, oh, it's his father's failing health. That's what's got her upset, right? And we find out the king died, and Buttercup and Humperdinck were married before dawn, and we're in Florence Square for the big announcement, at which point Fred Savage breaks in with, what the heck is this?
Right.
My father's final words were...
Hold it, Grandpa. You read that wrong. She doesn't marry Humperdinck. She marries Wesley. And just sure of it. After all that Wesley did for her, if she didn't marry him, it wouldn't be fair.
Well, who says life is fair? Where is that written? Life isn't always fair.
I'm telling you, you're messing up the story. Now get it right.
Do you want me to go on with this?
Yes.
All right, then. No more interruptions. At noon, she met her subjects again, this time as their queen.
My father's final words were... Love her.
Do you want me to read the book or not?
Who says life is fair?
Right? Yeah. Like, again, I remember that being a big... Ooh, life isn't fair? Life isn't fair. Oh, God. The bad guys win, and, like, completely being on Fred Savage's side. Like,
well, it even says you're messing up the story, right? You're hurting the narrative with what you're doing. And
right.
he he basically is shushed back into compliance. And we get this scene where, Humperdinck introduces her now as Queen Buttercup. And we get another weirdly traumatizing moment as this old hag screams at her, boo!
Boo! Slime! That lady's terrifying.
Boo! Boo!
Why do you do this?
Because you had love in your hands, and you gave it up.
But they would have killed Wesley if I hadn't done it.
Your true love lives, and you marry another. True love saved her in the fire swamp, and she treated it like garbage. And that's what she is, the queen of refuse. So bow down to her if you want. Bow to her. Bow to the queen of slime, the queen of filth, the queen of putrescence. Boo! Boo! Rubbish, filth, slime, muck. Boo! Boo! Boo!
It was 10 days till the wedding. The king still lived, but Buttercup's nightmares were growing steadily worse.
See? Didn't I tell you she'd never marry that rotten Humperdinck?
Yes, you're very smart. Shut up.
Well, they get up right in her scary face, and this is such a she's just an old lady, but as a kid, this is the kind of old lady that scared you. She's just screaming. Yeah.
Terrifying.
And it's just a nightmare. And I love it. The grandson is like, see, I told you he wasn't dead. And Peter Falk is like, yes, you're very smart. Shut up. It's a really good, he's still your grandson. Easy.
Yeah.
So Buttercup goes running in to talk to Humperdinck and basically says, if you make me marry you, I'll kill myself. So he says, well, tell you what, I'll send my 4 fastest ships in all 4 directions to look for Wesley and bring him back. But if that doesn't work, just please consider marrying me as an alternative to suicide.
Right.
All bullshit.
All bullshit. And then again, Christopher Sarandon, so good at comedy and playing evil and then being funny and then being wicked and being like the switches are very quick. She leaves and then he's with his advisor again and they go back to literally steepling with their fingers and plotting, and then she's back and, oh, hey, how you doing? What's going on? It's such a again, that old kind of vaudeville stage comedy,
Yeah, and that continues because they go into the woods talking about what they're going to do. And this is where he reveals he was behind the kidnapping all along. It was, to spark a war. He says, this works out even better because she'll, I'll murder her on our wedding night and that'll start the war.
Now, where is that secret knot? It's impossible to find. Ah. Are you coming down into the pit? Wesley's got his strength back. I'm starting him on the machine tonight.
Tyrone, you know how much I love watching you work. But I've got my country's 500th anniversary to plan, my wedding to arrange, my wife to murder, and Gilda to frame for it. I'm swamped.
Get some rest. If you haven't got your health, you haven't got anything.
And he's invited to come down to the torture chamber with Count Rugen, but he's, I'm too busy. I got too much going on to do that. I got my
I'm swamped.
I'm swamped. Yeah. So Rugen goes down into the pit and explains to Wesley what this machine does. I have a deep and abiding interest in pain. And he's writing a treatise. And so he says, for now, I'll use the lowest setting. And he puts it to sucking away 1 year of his life.
Yeah.
The sound design on the machine as it cranks, the screaming from Wesley. And he's just whimpering. This guy who we thought was the biggest badass in the world, this sells the machine, in terms of you can't resist this thing. It's too much.
Yeah, there aren't too many movies where you see a hero get hurt and then cry after. This is The Princess Bride, right? Quote unquote light comedy, fairy tale. This guy's hurt so bad that he's crying. That's deep.
Yeah, again, tells you how you're supposed to feel about this guy.
Yeah.
So we get another scene. This is this captain of the guard character meeting with Humperdinck, and Humperdinck again tells him, listen, I've heard that assassins are going to kill my bride on our wedding night. So you got to empty out the thieves' forest, form a brute squad, basically just get rid of all these guys. So I guess when she is murdered, it will look all the more impossible.
Right.
And probably removes the thieves as whoever these people are, that these criminals that live in this forest. It's like, no, I want to blame the Gueldarians. So if I've emptied out all of the thieves, I guess they can't be suspected of the crime.
Right.
And so we cut to that, which is the brute squad carrying out these orders. They're just shipping people off to wherever. And we come upon Inigo, who is drunk as hell, sitting around. He's back at the beginning.
I am waiting for you, Vicini. You told me to go back to the beginning. So I have. This is where I am, and this is where I'll stay. I will not be moved.
Choder!
I do not budge. Keep your choder.
But the prince gave orders.
Sorry, Vicini. When the job went wrong, you went back to the beginning. Well, this is where we got the job. So it's the beginning. And I am staying till Vicini come.
You brute, come here!
I am waiting for Vicini.
You surely are a meanie. Hello.
It's you.
Come. You don't look so good. You don't smell so good either.
Perhaps no. I feel fine.
Yeah.
Back at the beginning, this is where I met Vasily, and he's eating a big bowl of stew. For some reason, that bowl of stew is very memorable, and we get a beautiful reunion between Inigo and Fezzik.
Yeah, Fezzik rescues him from these guards and then like kind of tries to sober him up real quick. And Peter Falk tells us that like Fezzik told Inigo about Count Rugen, and you know, this is like it's not clear how Fezzik knows all of this, but it's a shortcut I'm willing to accept.
Same, you know, gentle giant, like who was really worried about the princess that he kidnapped. You know, like, hey, what's going on with her? And yeah, he's, you know, I love the sobering ritual of dipping Inigo's head into multiple barrels of water until Inigo comes to, and they come up with this plan of like, you know, they know they're limited. They know like, all right, well, we're the good guys now. Like we have to correct our mistakes, but you know, how many men does he have? Even at my best, and I love, you know, Mandy Patinkin does the thing, counting with the fingers. It's too much, too many. Even with your strength, you know, we need the cunning of, and they end up describing, you know, the man in black. You know, who bested us? Who's better at me in sword fighting, and who's strong? Who beat you with like their wits? We need to find them, and then they go off in search of our man in black.
Yeah, Fezzik's like, how are we gonna find him? And he says, "Don't bother me with trifles. There will be blood tonight." You know, figuring out where the hell the man in black could be anywhere in the world is not the point, right? You know, no. Fate will guide us to him.
Literally.
Yes, in a minute. So we get to the scene. Humperdinck is sharpening a big old dagger, and the captain reports to him the forest has been emptied, and now there's not only 30 men, he says double it to 60, guarding the one gate, and this guy has the one key to the one gate. And Buttercup enters, and she says, "Oh, I guess we'll be married, and all our ships will be there." And she says, "Well, every ship but your 4 fastest, the ones you sent off to find Wesley." He's like, "Oh, well, yes, of course. Well, not those 4." And clearly, you know, she's smart enough to figure out this was bullshit if she didn't suspect it already. And she just tells him, you know, I should have seen sooner that you were a coward with a heart full of fear. And he gets very pissed at her insults.
Ah, my dulcet darling. Tonight we're married. Tomorrow morning, your men will escort us to Florin Channel, where every ship in my armada waits to accompany us on our honeymoon.
Every ship but your four fastest, you mean? Every ship but the four you sent?
Yes, yes, of course. Naturally not those four. Your Majesties.
You never sent the ships. Don't bother lying. Doesn't matter. Wesley will come for me anyway.
You're a silly girl.
Yes, I am a silly girl. For not having seen sooner that you were nothing but a coward with a heart full of fear.
I would not say such things if I were you.
Why not? You can't hurt me. Wesley and I are joined by the bonds of love. And you cannot track that. Not with 1,000 bloodhounds. And you cannot break it. Not with 1,000 swords. And when I say you are a coward, that is only because you are the slimiest weakling ever to crawl the earth.
I would not say such things if I were you.
And I love, like, this is like her declaration of love for Wesley. Her undying, you can't track it with 1,000 bloodhounds or break it with 1,000 swords. This speech she gives, like I will never love you. Even though, like, it's interesting, he wants her to love him, even though his plan is to kill her immediately.
His plan is to kill her. Yeah, he doesn't like being disliked or being thought of as. Yeah, he's got a real tiny ego.
Yeah, well, he visits that on Wesley in a minute. He locks her in a room, runs down to the pit of despair, and says, no man in a century will suffer as greatly as you. And he throws the machine to 50, where I think even Rugen had said, like, we're not probably going to put it above 5. And the sound design here on the scream that comes out of Wesley, it's like just echo. It's, layers of scream on top of each other, whatever. But like this, yeah. The whole kingdom hears this screaming, even Buttercup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they've used that scream in other movies. It's such a good sound design. Terrifying, but also great. And like the look of satisfaction, like even Rugen is like, my God, what'd you do? And then, I'm fascinated by this. And Humperdinck, you see like the mask is fully gone.
Yeah.
And you see like who Humperdinck is, like in this moment of like, you actually like inflicting pain on people.
Yeah, he does. I mean, but like, ungodly amounts of screaming and pain. And Inigo hears this and deduces that must be the Man in Black, because my heart made that same sound when my father was killed. This is the sound of ultimate suffering.
Yes.
And his love is marrying someone else tonight. So that must be it.
Yeah.
Again, a little bit of a leap, but like fantasy fairy tale logic, and it works.
It absolutely works. And then we are taken to, I can only imagine, like, I give this all up to Mandy Patinkin, his performance of pulling out his sword and asking his father to guide him to the Man in Black. And like, how do you do that as a performer? Like, all right, so you got your sword out and you're using it like a tuning fork, and you want to find where and like hoping it's put. And he does it with like this amount of sincerity. And you're devastated when like it just points to a tree. And you see Inigo's devastation. And he kind of slumps over like, what was I thinking? Having faith in all this. And then like he leans on the tree and like a secret passage in the tree opens.
Inigo?
Father, I have failed you for 20 years. Now our misery can end. Somewhere close by is a man who can help us. I cannot find him alone. I need you. I need you to guide my sword. Please. Guide my sword.
It's like, he was guided by the Force for, for all we know.
I mean, there's the rays of the sun as they're coming in through the forest canopy. Like, it's beautifully shot, right? The score is there with him for like the divinity of this moment. Like, it's really good. After, of course, they've just bonked the poor albino unconscious to get rid of him.
Very funny.
Yeah. And they find Wesley, who is dead. And we get another break-in from the grandson. And this is one of the best ones because he's like, oh, well, Wesley's only faking, you know, and he's mad about this. Well, who gets Humperdinck then? Who gets him? And the grandpa jumps straight to the end of the movie. He's like, no one gets him. He lives. You know,
he lives.
Grandpa, wait. What did Fezzik mean he's dead? I mean, he didn't mean dead. Wesley's only faking, right?
You want me to read this or not?
Who gets Humperdinck?
I don't understand.
Who kills Prince Humperdinck? At the end, somebody's got to do it. Is it Inigo? Who?
Nobody. Nobody kills him. He lives.
You mean he wins? Jesus, Grandpa, what did you read me this thing for?
It's like, what did you read me this thing for? Like, it's so good that like we'll understand why later, but like he's interesting. He's so willing to go, like, because I've had this happen, like when, again, watching movies, especially movies or reading books to my kids, that, you know, like, well, wait, what happened? They want to know what happens 5 minutes into the movie. You know, that I need to tell them. They want to understand, like, it's going to be okay in the end or something. They really want to have that, like, knowledge. The idea of like, but you'll be surprised when it happens. That they don't like that.
We never lose that as adults. Like, you know, I'll see a movie and I'll tell, you know, either tell my partner about it or I tell my parents, and they'll be like, "Oh, what happened?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to spoil it. Oh, no, oh, let us know." You know, like the anticipation. You know, because we get, I forget, there's a actual scientific term for it. Like, we get sucked into stories and other people's stories. We can, like, stories help with empathy. We really can put ourselves in the shoes of someone like Wesley. We really can put ourselves in the shoes of someone like Buttercup or Inigo, especially if we care about them. It's why art is so powerful. But yeah, and so it's always funny to me, like that moment when he's like, "I see you're upset. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. This book is too much for you. No, Granddad, please finish the story." Like, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And so they decide, well, we need a miracle. Hopefully we have enough money to buy one. And they go to visit Miracle Max for probably the funniest scene in the movie.
Where's that bellows crab? He probably owes you money, huh? Well, I'll ask him.
His daddy can't talk.
Look who knows so much, huh? Well, it just so happens that your friend here is only mostly dead. There's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead. Please open his mouth. Now, mostly dead is slightly alive. Now, all dead, well, with all dead, there's usually only one thing that you can do.
What's that?
Go through his clothes and look for loose change. Hey! Hello in there! Hey, what's so important? What you got here that's worth living for?
True love, you heard him? You could not ask for a more noble cause than that.
Sonny, true love is the greatest thing in the world. Except for nice MLT, mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich when the mutton is nice and lean and the tomatoes are ripe. They're so perky. I love that. But that's not what he said. He distinctly said to blave. And as we all know, to blave means to bluff. Huh? So you're probably playing cards and he cheated.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
Get back, witch!
I'm not a witch, I'm your wife. But after what you just said, I'm not even sure I want to be that anymore.
As Billy Crystal is this wizard who was fired by Humperdinck, you know, who could potentially do something to bring Wesley back to life. The lore of this scene that I read was that they had a hard time shooting it because Billy Crystal was so funny like cracking everybody up on set, making everybody laugh, the other cast members, the crew, especially the crew, that like their laughter ruined audio from takes and they would have to do it again. I mean, just to be in the room for while they tried to film this would be incredible.
Same. And I love Billy Crystal. Quick story. I didn't get the part, but I had a chance to meet Billy Crystal and audition for a movie he was doing. And I got a call back for the audition, and, you know, he had me do this monologue, and then, you know, he's like, you know, improvise. And, you know, I had been improvising 20 plus years at that point, and I improvised this whole bit, and I finished, and Billy Crystal looks at me and he goes, "You're very funny. You're very, very funny." Didn't get the part, but that moment will stick with me the rest of my life.
Oh yeah, a compliment like that doesn't come along very often.
No, it doesn't.
A tangential connection to him. My mom went to high school with Billy Crystal.
Oh wow!
And so like anytime, especially growing up, my mom would point that out of like, oh, you know, when we were watching a Billy Crystal movie, like, you know, knew him enough, like not well, but his older brother was friends with my uncle, so they would hang out a lot. So, you know, I think my mom and he were like 1 or 2 years apart. I forget if she's slightly older or the other way around, but like, yeah, always kind of a little affinity for him in that way of just like, oh yeah, by the way, like I knew him when he was a kid, you know.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, but just a real great, like very classic Jewish stand-up comedian, like you know, what a great library of films he has. And I'll point him out to my kids because they know him as Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc. You know, so
yeah, of course.
Yeah. They also, yeah. So just the performance here, and then aided by Carol Kane. Holy shit. I mean, again, one of the funniest people on earth. Like, you put these two together in a room, and the way she's haranguing him.
I had a big crush on Carol Kane as a kid when she was on Taxi. And it was just, I knew it was her because of the voice, but so like the makeup so unrecognizable, and comes in, liar, liar, like just, and you see this old Jewish couple having this argument, you know, to blame, which we know means to bluff, right?
Right. Yeah, well, Inigo tries to lie to him at first, like, you know, because they don't have a lot of money for this miracle, and it's like, oh, but it's a noble cause, sir. And he gives a total bullshit story. And then he kind of tells something that's a little closer to the truth, and he's like, your first story was better, you know. But yes, when they finally find out that like reviving Wesley will piss off Humperdinck, he's all in. And yeah, I love that joke about like, I don't know if it's the mutton, lettuce, and tomato thing. I'll cut this.
Oh yeah, you know, MLT. And the tomatoes sliced thinly, and the best thing in the world.
Yeah, all of this riffing he does is so good. But so they make this chocolate miracle pill and tell me, you know, don't go swimming for a good hour afterwards, right? And I love that as they ride away, it's like, do you think it'll work? It'll take a miracle. You know, bye.
Bye.
Have fun storming the castle.
Yeah.
And so they don't waste any time. Like, we're at the castle now, and they revive Wesley with it. It was the mostly dead thing. I was trying to remember before.
Yeah.
Go through his pockets and look for loose change.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they revive him, and like immediately it works, although he can barely move his head.
How long do we have to wait if we know the miracle works?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I'll beat you apart. I'll take you both together.
I guess not very long.
Why won't my arms move?
You've been mostly dead all day.
We had Miracle Max make a pill to bring you back.
Who are you? Are we enemies? Why am I on this wall? Where's Buttercup?
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up. Buttercup is marrying Humperdinck in a little less than half an hour. So all we have to do is get in, break up the wedding, steal the princess, make our escape. After I kill Count Rugen.
There doesn't need much time for dilly-dallying.
You just wiggle your finger. That's wonderful.
I've always been a quick healer. What are our liabilities?
There is but one working castle gate. Come on. And it is guarded by 60 men.
And our assets?
Your brains. Fez's strength. I steal.
That's it? Impossible. I had a month to plan, maybe I could come up with something but this.
You just shook your head. That doesn't make you happy?
My brains, his steel and your strength against 60 men, and you think a little head jiggle is supposed to make me happy?
And they start talking about their plans. I like that Wesley's pretty quick to go like, oh, it's these two guys, but they're not, they helped me, so I guess we're okay.
Yeah, also incredible physical comedy on Cary Elwes's part. Like, he can't move anything but his head. And then you moved your finger. You're doing great.
Doesn't that make you happy?
Yeah. And seeing this annoyed Man in Black, just I'm annoyed now, but the three of them in this kind of Three Stooges comedy bit make the exposition of we got to storm the castle. It becomes funny. It's a great device that I feel like not a lot of filmmakers also, again, how do we plan this thing out? Well, you make it a sketch. If only we had a Holocaust cloak. You mean like this? If only we had a wheelbarrow. I saw that wheelbarrow by that tree. Looks like we got everything we need. What the fuck are we doing?
We don't have to plan this heist very much. It's just we're good to go. Because we get one quick scene of Buttercup and basically telling Humperdinck, we're not getting married tonight. Wesley's going to save me. Before we get to their assault on the castle that night, as we roll up Fezzik in this, what they call a Holocaust cloak, using the original meaning of the word Holocaust, for, death by fire. Right. And so they push him out as he tells this gathered crowd of 60 armed guards he is the dread Pirate Roberts, trading on his infamous reputation for leaving no survivors. And then to up the scare tactic, they light the Holocaust cloak on fire, which basically means it can burn up and the person in the cloak won't get hurt, is what we suss out. As I can barely make out what Andre the Giant is saying here because he has a pretty heavy accent.
Yeah.
But it's
come for you, sir.
Yeah. And speaking of hard to understand accents, this is intercut with the marriage ceremony for Humperdinck and Buttercup, and the decision to have this guy, I think it's Peter Cook, is the actor's name.
Yeah.
Do this heavy speech impediment. I know maybe this is aged a little bit poorly now. We might be more sensitive to people with speech impediments, but it is very funny to have this guy who looks like the Pope, in terms of pomp and circumstance, to just make this a slightly sillier ceremony.
I know it's a little insensitive, but it's so funny.
I think the joke is, not so much the speech impediment as it's a reflection of Humperdinck wants everything to be perfect. Yeah. But this is something, if you're the royalty, this is the guy who performs the ceremony.
The guy who wants to, he comes in, Peter Cook does this great thing of again, all nonverbal, all just physical, gestures, physical comedy, and bows to the groom, bows to the bride, and then marriage.
Marriage is what brings us together today. Marriage, that blessed arrangement, that dream within a dream.
Stand your ground, men! Stand your ground! Stand your ground!
I'm the Dread Pirate Roberts. There will be no survivor.
No, not yet.
My men are here. I'm here. But soon you will not be here.
No!
Light him.
The Dread Pirate Roberts takes no survivor. All you worst nightmares are about to come true.
Then love, true love, will follow you forever.
The Dread Pirate Roberts is here for you, sir.
And it's just, oh my God. And yeah, and like this almost nails against the chalkboard, grating, slow scene intercut with, we got to storm the castle, we got to fight the soldiers, we got to, like, it's brilliant.
Yeah, and they can hear the commotion outside. And so Humperdinck commands this guy, skip to the end, just say man and wife. Man and wife. Okay. And then they just rush her out of there. It's over. And, Fezzik, again, they're intercutting between the Fezzik and company threatening the guard. I love this, like, you give me the gate key. I don't have a gate key. Oh, you mean this gate key?
Rip his arms off. Oh, you mean this gate key? Yes.
Yep. And meanwhile, Buttercup is like escorted to her room by the king and queen, Humperdinck's parents, who are kind of adorably like dotty. I guess they don't have a clue as to what their son is up to, but like she's like, well, she gives him a kiss, like, well, you've always been kind to me, and I shall miss you after I go and kill myself now. And he's like, oh, won't that be nice?
That'd be lovely.
Yeah. She kissed me.
She kissed me.
Yep. And I love that moment where she confronts Humperdinck and she's like, Wesley will come for me. He's like, no, he won't. I killed him myself. Well, then why is there fear behind your eyes? Like, it's so good because she's still tough inside.
Yeah. It's a great line.
And so the trio is now making their way through the castle, with Cary Elwes is a little more mobile now, but not a lot. He's still pretty floppy.
Yeah.
And they're confronted by Count Rugen and the guards, and Inigo quickly dispatches the guards. And I love this moment of like Count Rugen, like he's about to sword fight him, and then he just takes off running because he's a coward.
We talked about the fight scene, the great fight scene between Inigo and the Man in Black. But this moment of Inigo taking out the guards, like, go back to my sword fighting friend. This was his favorite, like one of his favorite sword fights. Technically, he's like, just because how good Mandy Patinkin is like he takes out the guy in the back, and like it's so quick and effortless.
But still like balletic. Like he like lunges a leg at one point, just takes him out.
It's very great. It's like incredibly great.
And this is the moment for Inigo. He can't let Count Rugen go, so he takes off running after him, and Fezzik is left there just kind of holding Wesley, like, well, what do we do? And now, Count Rugen locks a door. Inigo can't get through. He's desperate, like screaming, please, I need this. This is it. I can't let him get away. And so Fezzik has to leave. He leaves Wesley hanging on a suit of armor.
Yeah.
Goes and bashes down the door with one punch. And when Fezzik goes back for Wesley, Wesley's gone.
Right. Which is then undercut with Buttercup going into her chambers
to kill herself. Yeah.
Yeah. And we find
almost not yet. There's actually, we get the first part of the duel with Inigo and Count Rugen. Right. And he's chasing him. He's they're kind of trading things, but Rugen goes around a corner down some stairs, and when Inigo comes after him, Rugen takes a dagger out of his boot and just throws it so that when Inigo comes around the corner, it goes thump, right into his stomach. And we figure, well, that's it.
Absolutely devastating.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, you must be that little Spanish brat I taught a lesson to all those years ago, right? It's like, oh, right at the moment, right, of triumph, it's now disaster.
Yeah, I remember being like, no. Like watching this movie, because Inigo quickly became my favorite character. As I showed Doug, I have a Funko Pop of Inigo. I remember being a kid being like, no, you don't kill that guy.
No. You can't build this much into this revenge tale. And this is how it ends. No, Fred Savage. This is not how it... You're ruining the story. So we get this great moment of this is the reunion, right? Buttercup pulls out the dagger. She's going to kill herself, and Wesley is lying on the bed, and he says something like, there's a shortage of perfect breasts in this world. It'd be a shame to ruin yours.
Yeah.
There's a shortage of perfect breasts in this world. Twould be a pity to damage yours.
Wesley! Oh, Wesley, darling! Wesley, why won't you hold me?
Gently.
At a time like this, that's all you can think to say. Gently.
Gently.
And she kisses it. I love this. Like, she's just kissing him all over it. And he's like, gently.
And bangs his head against the
headboard.
And Wesley, why won't you hold me? But this tender moment is, of course, short-lived.
Well, we get to, again, we're cutting back and forth, which is kind of hard to do, but we go back to Inigo. And this is where, the payoff is. He wills himself back up and he delivers the line. And not only does he deliver the line, he delivers it many times.
Yeah.
Good heavens. Are you still trying to win? You've got an overdeveloped sense of vengeance. It's going to get you into trouble someday.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Hello! My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Stop saying that! Oh. Hello! My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die! No! Offer me money. Yes. Power to promise me that. All that I have and more. Please. Offer me everything I ask for. Anything you want. I want my father back, you son of a bitch.
And he's getting messed up, and Count Rugen is getting angrier and more impatient, but he stabs Inigo in the shoulder, stabs him in the other shoulder, bicep, and you just see the blood pouring from the gut, from the two wounds, and as Inigo keeps approaching and advancing on Rugen, you see Inigo and he gets a little faint and he crashes and he's not fit to do this. And I don't know if Andre the Giant was this is how in a wrestling match, this is how you rally. You wait for you let the crowd rally you, and then and there's no crowd here. There's just the audience emotion pouring into this man being like, you gotta get up. And Mandy Patinkin sells it. And then he snaps back. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. And then the music and the sword fighting are in sync with each other. And as he backs this vile human up, and you're like, oh my God. It's such a there aren't a lot of moments where you really root for somebody to whoop somebody's ass. And this is a great moment of yeah, get him. And then he, gets to every wound that Count Rugen inflicted on Inigo. The scars that were on his cheeks, he saves those for last, but he stabbed me in the shoulder, he stabbed me in the bicep. Oh, these two wounds. And Rugen is outmatched. I'll give you anything you want. Money, power, influence. And
he doesn't even do that, because Inigo is the one who demands it. He says, offer me money, offer me everything, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Anything I can give you and more. And then he delivers, I want my father back, you son of a bitch. It was such a great that use of that language, because the movie's been very clean up to this point. So they saved that one, naughty word for where it really counts. The way he just the true the sword of justice as he delivers that last blow to Count Rugen's gut.
Yeah,
it's one of the most satisfying moments of any film ever.
Really is, and like again, our heavy is a comedian. Like our heavy, Christopher Guest plays that moment beautifully. They both do, but like, he doesn't play it up for laughs. He and like as my bastard, my father likes to say, he's a bastard until the last. Like when a villain, like, all right, I surrender, and then like pulls out a derringer or tries one last thing, and then like before they're dispatched, like my father always goes, bastard until the last, right? Like, yeah, it's a great moment.
And now we go from the climax for Inigo's story to Wesley and Buttercups as Prince Humperdinck comes in and threatens to kill Wesley again. And Wesley says no to the pain, not to the death. And he explains what that is.
To the death.
No! To the pain.
I don't think I'm quite familiar with that phrase.
I'll explain, and I'll use small words that you'll be sure to understand, you warthog-faced buffoon.
That may be the first time in my life a man has dared insult me.
It won't be the last. To the pain means the first thing you lose will be your feet below the ankles. Then your hands at the wrists. Next your nose.
And then my tongue, I suppose. I killed you too quickly the last time. A mistake I don't mean to duplicate tonight.
I wasn't finished. The next thing you lose will be your left eye, followed by your right.
And then my ears, I understand. Let's get on with it.
Wrong! Your ears you keep, and I'll tell you why. So that every shriek of every child at seeing your hideousness will be yours to cherish. Every babe that weeps at your approach, every woman who cries out, "Dear God, what is that thing?" will echo in your perfect ears. That is what the pain means. It means I leave you in anguish, wallowing in freakish misery forever.
I think you're bluffing.
It's possible, pig. I might be bluffing. It's conceivable, you miserable, vomitous mass. I'm only lying here because I lack the strength to stand. But then again, perhaps I have the strength after all.
And, basically the idea being I will sever most of your body parts, but leave you your ears so that when people cry out at, "Dear God, what is that thing?" you will hear it in your perfect ears. And, like, it's a cool speech, but we are all wondering as an audience, like, we know he's been doing a little better, over time since he had the pill, but not great. But, and I love that Chris Sarandon is like, "You could be bluffing." And he's like, "I could be." But he stands up for that one, like, triumphant, like, "Drop your sword." He summons up whatever he's got for that moment, which is just enough to scare the coward Humperdinck to sit down while Buttercup ties him up, upon which he immediately flops down.
Yeah. I knew you were bluffing. I knew you were bluffing. And she like grabs the knife and like, again, Christopher Rand, really funny. Really just, the guy was a coward the whole time. And yeah, like to go from dramatic to heightened reality to comedy to danger to like, it's real. Like it feels like I'm watching a play.
And it's a version. They do a good job in this movie of mirroring things from before. So obviously the fight with Inigo and Count Rugen is very, like, literally mirrored as he gives him identical wounds, right? And here it's kind of a mirror of the Battle of Wits. Again, it's Cary Elwes bluffing his way through this, right. Not using his strength or his fence, anything else, right? That's all he's got is his wits, and mirroring the thing that Humperdinck said earlier, right? I always assumed everything's a trap, which is why I lived so long. Like, well, he didn't hear. He didn't assume this was a trap, although he still gets to live. And again, sort of, he doesn't turn into a freak the way Cary Elwes threatens to do, but he has to live with knowing he lost forever. Right. And that's what the grandpa meant. Like, oh, he lives in the end. And I thought that's a great ending. Like, he doesn't actually kill Humperdinck. He doesn't have to. There are other outcomes that are also bad for the villain. And this is the first time I remember encountering something quite like that, where it's like, oh, no. I've bested you. That's enough.
Knowing you're a coward. Knowing you actually didn't want it. You weren't ready for this fight. That's going to haunt you for someone with such a huge ego, we see the whole film like this visage of being like, I'm in the front, as I ride my horse and heroically, and you're none of that. You're nothing. You're a chump, as we would say from where I'm from. And in this day and age, yeah, we a world full of chumps that just somebody just needs to tell them you're a chump.
Yep. Well, Fezzik arrives with 4 white horses. Hello, lady. And they all jump out the window and ride away. And I love that the jump for Princess Buttercup, like they show her like delicately falling through the air. Like it's a lyrical shot of her falling and being caught by Fezzik at the bottom. It's like this beautiful, like she's free. She's free of, this Humperdinck in his clutches.
She's free. We get to Mandy Patinkin's favorite line. And I always wanted the sequel of seeing Inigo as the Dread Parrot Roberts, which is basically the Spaniard in that outfit is now Zorro, right?
Right.
But, and again, everybody, you like these people, and because you like them and were invested in them, this is the ending you wanted for them. They literally ride off into the sunset. And and then we earn the kiss. I remember being a kid and being like,
almost, because Fred Savage, I love that. Like the grandpa's like, okay, well, it's more kissing. You don't need to hear this. And the grandson says, well, no, I want to hear the end of the story.
Yeah,
I don't mind. Right. And so he reads the story, finishes the story, right? This is the best kiss in the world. And Fred Savage asks, hey, can you come over and read it tomorrow? Grandpa says,
as you wish. It's very strange. I have been in the revenge business so long. Now that it's over, I don't know what to do with the rest of my life.
Have you ever considered piracy? It'd make a wonderful Dread Pirate Roberts.
They rode to freedom. And as dawn arose, Wesley and Buttercup knew they were safe. A wave of love swept over them. And as they reached for each other...
What?
Now it's kissing again. You don't want to hear that.
I don't mind so much.
Okay. Since the invention of the kiss, there have been 5 kisses that were rated the most passionate, the most pure. This one left them all behind. The end. Now, I think you ought to go to sleep. Okay. 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 All right. So long.
Grandpa? Maybe you could come over and read it again to me tomorrow.
As you wish.
And we get Mark Knopfler singing us out of the movie. And that's the end.
Beautiful film. Again, one of my favorite movies ever. And walking through it with you has been a joy, man. Now I gotta watch it again. It's a really, it's a film that loves people.
Yeah, it's such a big-hearted film, right? It's just a film full of yes, humor, but also the love story, and it works so well. They somehow managed to make you believe, right? This really, as funny as it is, this is about true love. That is the thing that the movie is mostly about. And different kinds of true love as well. The love between grandfather and grandson, the kind of the friendship love with Inigo and Fezzik, and Inigo's love for his father and what drives him. It has all of these really uplifting elements to it, which is why I think when a film makes you feel this good, having watched it. Like that's why it's like I want to watch it again because it's just like, it is like a big bowl of chicken soup when you're sick, right? That's what this is.
Yeah.
If you want to see something really heartwarming, by the way, there was that kind of during lockdown in COVID times, people were like making versions of movies at home, kind of thing, and this one was done, like with Rob Reiner, having people do like readings of stuff to quote make The Princess Bride at home, and he had the brilliant idea of like he'll play the Fred Savage part and Carl Reiner plays the grandfather, and it's one of the last things Carl Reiner ever did before he died. And so you watch this scene of, especially the very end, Grandpa, will you come and read it to me again? And then he says, as you wish, and walks out. Like, it's like, if you couldn't make that any more poignant, what a nice little home run moment if you've ever seen it. Again, knowing that, like, I think Carl Reiner died a week after that or something. It was real close in time.
Oh, all right. I'm gonna watch that, and then I'm just gonna be going through a few box of tissues.
Yeah, it's very, very sweet.
Thanks for telling me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been a joy, brother. I love talking movies with you, man. And this one was, I'm glad you saved this one for the 150th. This is special.
Yeah, it is a very special film. I'll give you the last word. Anything you want to say more about why this movie is special and why it endures, and I think why, as you said, we'll be showing it to our grandkids someday.
I mean, well, we talked about a perfect movie, and I remember like trying in college trying to quantify and like because it has everything. Fun sword fights, but like, a real pure, broad, big-hearted message about humanity, about love. Incredible performances from, movies were big for me. Before we were talking, I think, this is what I'm trying to do with my life. And, this is a movie that I realized like set me on that path. Like, oh, I want to tell stories. I want to have, like God, how lucky would you be to be able to say lines or play a role like Inigo Montoya? Like, how incredible lucky would you be to like have an opportunity like that, where then a kid sees that and is like, ooh, what is that? I want to do that. I want to tell stories like that. I want to make people feel good leaving a movie theater, like I felt good leaving a movie theater. Like that is still with me. Like that experience struck a chord, and I'm just internally grateful. And then to find out, like, oh, you're not the only one. A whole bunch of other people love this movie with you. And yeah, in these times that not seem but are very dark, to actually be able to point to something that is light is not something to take for granted. So I don't take this film for granted. I love this film. And the charge of this film is that we need to continue to make more light, set people on that path.
I can't think of a better way to close that out. Tarik, if people want to find your stuff, where do they find it? I'll certainly put a link to your short film, Doc, Race, Revolution, Relativity, and the Confessions of a Time-Traveling Terrorist. I will put that in the show notes so people can watch that, which is absolutely incredible. It is well worth everyone's time to check that out. But tell people where they can find all your other cool things.
Yeah, you can find me on my website at tarikdavis.com. I'm on the socials, not nearly as much as I was prior, but that's because good things are bubbling up. And a lot of people, myself included, are trying to like make things happen in these dark times and make that light, take that charge. So watch the space. Find me at Tarik R. Davis at Twitter and at BlueSky, at Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, I'll be posting stuff that you will be able to be inspired by hopefully soon.
That's awesome. And if you want to get in touch with us, just go to your social network of choice and look up Nostalgium. You'll find your way to us, and you can interact with us there. Just shoot me a message, whatever you want to say. Of course, if you want to, please leave a review. If that's true of not just my podcast, but any podcast. Leave reviews wherever you can, because that does increase visibility and helps out a lot. And of course, word of mouth is also very good. And if you want to know what's coming up next on the show, follow us either at BlueSky, Instagram, or Facebook. I post clues every Wednesday as to what the next episode is going to be, so come there and play along. Man, Tarik, thanks for your time today, and thanks for being the one to talk about this movie with, because this is just a very special gem.
My pleasure, brother. This was so much fun.
All right, everybody. So until next time, that is one more entry in the Nostalgium Arcanum.
Come, my love, I'll tell you a tale of a boy and girl and their love story, and how he loved her oh so much, and all the charms she did possess. Now this did happen once upon a time, when things were not so complex, and how he worshipped the ground she walked, and when he looked in her eyes, he became obsessed. My love is like a storybook story, but it's as real as the feelings I feel. My love is like a storybook story, but it's as real as the feelings I feel. It's as real as the feelings I feel.
First up, we're starting with Carl Reiner's final curtain call. The comedy legend passed away last week at the age of 98, and we just found out he left behind one more piece of work, and it sure is a special one. As part of a fan film remake for Quibi, the late actor and his son Rob Reiner recorded the closing scene of one of Rob's most beloved movies, The Princess Bride.
Now I think you ought to go to sleep.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So long.
Grandpa, can you come over tomorrow and read it again?
As you wish.